even though you didn't know my timing. The next on behalf of the S&D is Alfred Sant.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think we really have got a good bunch of amendments and as well as a very good basis to work on in terms of the compromises drafted by the rapporteur. Some very important sectors are clearly getting recognition, though through both the text proposed by the rapporteur as well as the tabled amendments. From my side and the side of the S&D, the most crucial point is to safeguard the weakest link in the competition chain. And this is reflected in our amendments to this report. Amendments regarding Google again feature prominently, and this goes in line with the first draft of the report. It is understandable to have Google as a focus for such a sector, and we need to talk about it in a clear way, in a rational way. We can't just ignore it, because that would be ignoring the elephant in the room. Even though I agree that we need to be as concise as possible on this matter, while assuring that major concerns are reflected in the final draft. Also related to the digital sector, we are getting feedback from online travel agencies. These have complained of being ousted from the market. One example of this has been the imposition by certain airlines of surcharges or restricted access to information for those using booking channels other than their own. And I agree that the current revision of the regulation on safeguarding competition in air transport should also tackle this issue. Appropriate legislative vehicles should prevent anti-competitive behaviour and ticket distribution, with the aim of having cheaper flights for air travellers on access in Europe. Another topic which the report and the amendments place, as well as the compromises, place under the spotlight is the issue of dedicating enough resources to the Commission's DG competition, already mentioned by the rapporteur. I agree that attention should be given to reallocate the needed resources to the European Commission on this point. However, as already outlined in some amendments, including my own, I also believe that this should go hand in hand with a strict and transparent separation between the departments that draw up guidelines and those that have the responsibility to apply those guidelines in specific cases. We need to avoid a situation in which the competition DG acts as the prosecutor, the judge, the jury, and the executioner. Again, the discussion on transport. We need to be very careful when discussing this very important and essential sector. It remains vital for the economic survival of the different regions and communities in Europe. We should be wary of pursuing the opening up of the market just for the sake of liberalisation. Allowing private entry should not be an end in itself. We need to assure that this service of basic economic interest is guaranteed at affordable prices in all the regions of the EU. This applies especially for insular, peripheral and sparsely populated regions of the EU and is of course reflected, in my view, in the compromises that have been drawn up by the rapporteur. When analysing liberalisation options, we need to make sure that all social standards are respected, for sure, for the sake of those working in the sector as well as consumers. But sadly, there are experiences that have shown other results. Finally, I am also glad that the amendments submitted are keeping up the pressure on having a strong reference towards competition policy and the area of agriculture. We are too often hearing of the huge discrepancy that exists between the food prices being offered to the end consumer and the price being offered to farmers for their products. I am glad that this is being tackled, both through the amendments and through the compromises, and we support all EU action that keeps in mind the survival of small-scale farmers and the welfare of end consumers alike. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. On behalf of the ECR, Sant.
Thank you, Chairwoman, and very successful one. I would like to join my colleagues of the EPP and the S&D in congratulating Ramon, my dear friend. You are doing a wonderful job. We had a very fruitful Shadows meeting yesterday, a good set of first draft compromises. In my intervention today, I would like not to focus so much on the work of our rapporteur, but a bit more on the amendments that are still circulating, standalone amendments, which are in part covered by compromises, but in part not. I have 4 issues. One, I'd like to stress the point, which was also made by colleague Muresan of the EPP group. I really think it's important to keep focus, so that we remember that this is a report about competition. It should not become a tax report, a payment report. It should not even become a Google report, if we may. But I think that the rapporteur gets this, and I highly appreciate his work and his efforts, especially if you look at the first set of draft compromises, you see that he emphasizes the need for a level playing field, and he does so by highlighting the anti-competitive effects of selective fiscal state aid, and in his way, he makes sure that he avoids to go beyond scope. So I think I appreciate your work in this respect. On the other side, I see that we still have a lot of standalone amendments of several colleagues, which do go beyond scope, and this is a concern for our